I want to tell you two stories at the same time. One is a Bible story, and the other is the story about how that Bible story saved my life. At least it rescued my mental health. I was in a downward spiral in the fog of shame. I wanted to disappear or die. I had no hope. And if you have no hope, why put one foot in front of the other? Why go forward another day? That's where I was at. And then this story gave me hope. In fact, there's one word in the middle of the story that changed everything for me. I want to share it with you because I think it's going to be important either for you or for someone you know. So we should dive in. The Black Sheep Bible Study. This is a place of grace for those of us who need a fresh start and a second chance, which is really all of us, but only some of us know it. We've talked before about the Apostle Peter and his experience with guilt and shame. We pointed out that guilt is the feeling that I have done something bad, which may very well be true. Shame is the feeling that I am bad, which is most definitely a lie. And we've asked the question, why didn't Peter kill himself? That's a harsh question, but he had heard Jesus say definitively, if you deny me before people, I will deny you before my Father in heaven. That's pretty hopeless if you actually deny Jesus, which is what Peter did. After that, why didn't he follow the way of Judas and end his life? Something inside him kept him moving forward, and when Jesus rose from the dead, he ran towards him, not away from him. What's going on? We need to figure it out. But there's one scene where Peter encounters the risen Christ, where Jesus leads Peter through a psychologically brilliant therapy session, reinfusing him with hope and purpose. I don't know if you believe in God or not, but there are some things that Jesus does that are so freaking brilliant. I mean, Jesus is genius. Frankly, his teachings themselves bear the marks of the miraculous. It's like something supernatural is going on here. This is one of those scenes for me. It's almost as though Jesus has insider knowledge, like he has, designer knowledge of how the human soul and psyche work. You see this in this story. Let's dive right in. In John 21, the last chapter of the Gospel of John, we read this. Early in the morning, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. He called out to them, "Friends, have you got any fish?" That's my shouting from the shore voice. "No," they answered, shouting from the boat. He said, "Throw your net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some." It's an absolutely ridiculous instruction, but they do this. I mean, they had had an encounter with Jesus when he did something like this before. It feels familiar. And when they did, they're unable to haul the net in because of the large number of fish. Now, this whole fish miracle is the beginning of Jesus's genius therapy session because he is recreating a scene for Peter. When Peter first met Jesus, Jesus performed the same miracle, a miraculous catch of fish. But Peter's response to Jesus when he didn't really know him yet was to say, "Go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." But now it's 3 years later. Peter has spent 3 years with Jesus, and his reaction is different. It's not "go away," it's "let me come to you." Reading on, then the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." As soon as Simon Peter heard him say, "It is the Lord," he wrapped his outer garment around him, for he had taken it off, and jumped into the water. We see here that even though Peter had enough hope to keep moving forward, he was still in the fog of shame. His mind wasn't working. He was in a kind of shame-induced, disconnected state. Just sitting there after experiencing this miracle, unable to take the next step. He was processing so many memories, so many feelings, so many thoughts, and it neutralized him. It was too much. He needed the Apostle John to say to him, "Peter, it is the Lord." I don't know if he was close enough to elbow him, to push him, or if he did it all through his voice. But when John said, "Peter, it is the Lord," it wakes Peter up. This tells me that we all should be paying attention to the Apostle Johns in our lives. Those people around us who can just point us towards Jesus. And when we get all fogged up, they can just say, "It is the Lord." Who do you have in your life that can consistently help point you towards Jesus? If you can't find that person, at least for now, you're here. Whoever the person or the link or the algorithm that got you here, I think that's God pursuing you. And I'm so glad that we're doing this together. Now, I want to share with you that one word that changed everything for me. Okay, back to the story. John has said, Peter, it's the Lord. And Peter has hopped out of the boat and starts power wading through the water to get to Jesus as fast as he can. And let's keep reading. The other disciples followed in the boat, towing the net full of fish, for they were not far from shore, about 100 yards. When they landed, they saw a fire of burning coals there with fish on it and some bread. We've just read the word that blows my mind. It's translated a coal fire, charcoal fire, a fire of burning coals. Some translations just say a fire, but it's a different word than the usual word for fire. In the original Greek, it's a rare word. It refers to a fire made of charcoal or charcoal and wood blended together. It was a way of burning hotter and lasting longer. And it's only used one other place in the entire Bible, and it ties the two passages together. So the word in Greek is anthrakia, and anthrakia is only used once in John 18:18 and now here in John 21:9. Now, we see that it's a fire that Jesus has created, and John specifically points out this is a coal fire, not just a regular fire. Why? Because in John 18, we read that it's around a coal fire that Peter denied Christ. This was his greatest failure. And now Jesus is recreating the scene. In John 18, we read, it was cold, and the servants and officials stood around a charcoal fire that they had made to keep warm. Peter also was standing with them, warming himself. That's the context. That's the place of Peter's greatest sin. Jesus recreates, restages the moment. John highlights it, drawing our attention to the two passages. And certainly, this would have taken Peter's mind back. Jesus recreates the same smell, the same crackle, the same symbolism. John is using Greek to do irony with embers. Charcoal smells distinctively. Anyone who's been around a charcoal fire knows that the smell clings to your clothes, your hair, your memories. Jesus is bringing Peter back to the scene of the crime. He's helping Peter revisit and review his most painful memories. But in order to repurpose them, to baptize them in grace, mercy, peace, acceptance, forgiveness, there's something beautiful going on here. Jesus doesn't reconcile Peter to himself by avoiding it or denying it or saying, I'm sorry, I can't remember what it is. Let's forget about it and move forward. No, he walks Peter through it again, slowly and safely. And in fact, he says to Peter, let's take a walk, and he continues the conversation with Peter. 3 times, if you continue reading in the text, he asks Peter, do you love me, Peter? And Peter says, of course I love you. 3 times, he gives Peter the opportunity to reaffirm his love. 3 times, Peter denied Jesus. 3 times, Jesus says, reaffirm your love for me. And Peter does. Jesus doesn't need to hear it. Peter needs to express it. This is his healing. And then Jesus' response is amazing. Jesus doesn't just forgive Peter and say, it's okay, let's move forward. Yes, he forgives Peter, but then there is reconciliation, not only forgiveness, and then restoration to ministry, and finally a recommissioning just for Peter, Peter's own great commission. 3 times when Peter says, yes, I love you, Jesus' response is not just, well then, I want you to heal and grow and know that you're loved. It's more than that. He doesn't even say, well, then hang out with the rest of my sheep and let them minister to you so that you heal. It's more than that. 3 times when Peter declares his love for Jesus, Jesus says, then go feed my sheep, feed my lambs. He gives Peter purpose. He reactivates his leadership gifts and says, your healing and restoration is complete. The gospel gets the glory here when you are fully restored and you move forward, reaching out to others. Wow, man, we all need more coal fire fellowship. In fact, some of my friends and I used to use coal fire fellowship as kind of short form for beautiful, honest, life-giving fellowship. We would say, man, this fellowship is really coal fire, man. This is coal fire fellowship. That's so coal fire. It just meant we get to fully be ourselves, fully known and fully loved, fully accepted. It's a rare thing, but when you can experience that, some beautiful healing happens. Is this resonating with you? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know what resonates with you or any questions you have in the comments. And if you know of any other black sheep who might benefit from this, let's share this with them and build something beautiful together. Thanks for watching Black Sheep Bible Study.